The point of art is that you like it. Subline 10 easy drawing techniques for beginners. A good artist is a depressed artist. Subline, artist cuts ear off. Gets fame only after death. This is what success looks like. 10 dead artists to invest in on page 11. Hear ye! Hear ye! Exclusive interview with Pablo Picasso. 10 pence for the most famous artist views on style. Hear ye from me! Picasso didn't even know how to draw faces. Buy for 8 pence to hear Ben Shapiro dunk on modern art. Hey Bruder, how about you shove that uncultured art line down your pants? Real artists have style that are too niche for your bird brain. Alter Mann, stylization is just an excuse to not learn your fundamentals. You wanna catch some hands? How about my feet? I'm more of a kicker. This is my territory for selling art tutorials. Go somewhere else. Big debate over style versus realism has art world infighting. Rest of the working population is unbothered as usual.
Part 1. The most common art tip.
Hey, let's do an art talk. Okay, let's talk about the most common discussion between beginner artists. Should you learn your basics with fundamentals, or should you start in your own style? Let's talk.
Here's an idea. Learn the rules before you break them. Sounds basic enough? It's the most common tip for beginner artists. Start with the fundamentals, by which artists mean form, light, value, color, perspective, and composition. And most tutorials in this fundamentals category aim for realism or close to realism, especially in the printed books. For a cartoony master and teacher of fundamentals, I recommend Marco Bucci's YouTube channel. So, do you have to learn art with realism first, even if it's not your intended style or goal? This is a question that many beginner or professional artists debate. And yes, this is a debate. Because there's no right or wrong way to art, and people talk from their experiences, what they wished they did different when learning and how fast their approaches were. There's no one answer to make everyone happy, because learning takes different routes and times for each person. And here's a hot tip. You never stop learning, so even if you aren't a beginner artist anymore, you will get the tip to learn or refresh your fundamentals. So let's talk a bit about it. And also, just to be clear, I have a bias, because I learned a lot with and still use photos for references. I like realism and art that gets close to it more than I like extremely anime or cartoony art. So I have, for my own style and art that I prefer and how I became the artist I am, a bias for realism, and I will still argue what you want me to argue for. Using style as an excuse to not study. I mean, having style is more important than constructing a believable, that sounds also negative. Appeal and coolness is something to strive for, and realism is not always the way to go. There. Can you tell this is scripted? No, that's actually a good argument. Go watch Cynic's Design. He argues for appeal all the time, and his YouTube channel is wonderful.
Part 2. Do you have to use realism? No.
So just to answer the question right off the bat, no, you don't have to only use realism or learn realism first when learning to draw something. That being said, realism is very useful and most people want to depict somewhat the world in their surrounding. If you aren't going for pure abstraction, it doesn't hurt to learn some fundamentals using realism. And if you are going for pure abstraction, looking at real stuff is probably also a great thing. But you can also learn fundamentals whilst drawing in your unique style. Let me explain. And also, watch the examples that you see on screen, because right now, I'm not using realism, but I'm using realistic references, as you might be able to tell. You need to learn to not use stylized art as your guideline, but photos. Or your own eyes. Here's an important question. What does a line in art actually mean? A line in art can have multiple meanings, and there's nothing wrong if it doesn't mean anything at all. But I advise you, be aware what and why you draw anything. So, a line usually is an object ending, a sharp edge, a fold, a tension, movement, a crease. Sometimes it can be part of texture or hair or shadow or an abstract thing. So in realism, every line has a very concrete thing that it represents. In abstraction, every line needs intention. If you have any lines that are neither representation nor emotion, you might want to question what they are. For example, in the 2000s, when I was a kid and all the kids beside me would draw anime girls, and me too, we didn't know what anime eyes looked like and why they did the thing that they did. If someone copied an anime eye, it could happen that they drew multiple creases or made the eye shape loop-sided. For European kids, it makes sense that one of the lines above an anime eye is a crease, but these are Asian characters. So why the crease? And sometimes people put multiple creases and then those don't move when the character is closing their eyes. So what the fuck are they? It's because we didn't think through the meaning for our art. Any mistake is easy to make if you don't know what the heck you're drawing. And if you don't know what the arm muscles are, or how wrinkles work, you might see an anime putting lines in, and you will as well, resulting in flat designs, because you put in lines instead of understanding your lines to be the edges of the form. You're not supposed to draw 2D lines, you're supposed to understand what you're drawing. You are the artist, be intentional. Part 3. How to use references. Hello to the fun corner where you can peek over my shoulder and watch me draw or attempt to draw. Here you see me, a semi-professional artist, draw a chibi character using a photo as reference for the pose. And by the way, rude interruption in this otherwise very straightforward tutorial with some personal thoughts regarding private space. Most artists hate when you creep up on them and watch them draw, because most artists choose a very introverted hobby like art so they don't have to socialize. They just want to sit in the corner with their sketchbooks and not be asked to draw someone they don't know. Not me though. No, I love it. If you ever see me out in public, come talk to me, ask me about my art and my sketchbook, even if you know German and I can talk your ear off with that. Oh, okay, I should go back to the tutorial. As you can see, I'm translating the pose from a photo to a stylized artwork. Brushing up on fundamentals means deepening your understanding, learning more about the subject. It doesn't mean no fun allowed. You start by deconstructing what you see. Stylizing something is hard work, and it takes practice. In art, drawing something should mean understanding something and communicating it to the viewer. And yes, your intention can just be make it pretty. You can exaggerate and stylize it to give it more attention, increase the attractiveness. Chibi art started as a way to cram in over-the-top goofy expressions to make short gag in manga art. Exaggerating the body so much that you know this panel is meant as a comedy, so it doesn't interrupt the seriousness of maybe the main story. In single illustrations, it's used to make something very cute, so you exaggerate a pose just for the cuteness. If you learn art not from photos or reality but from other artists, you might copy their mistakes as well or not learn what some lines mean. Of course, that doesn't mean you can never do it. I know I drew a lot of anime from other people. That's just how many artists start out. But you learn faster and less mistakes that you have to unlearn later if you study the fundamentals. Personally, I like to do photo studies where I strive for realism and do more stylized, loose stuff with my own illustrations or commissions. It's good to set yourself goals if you want to be efficient and learn art in like 2 years or something. Not that that is very realistic. Part 4. Why you should draw realistic. I want you to have fun with art. Art is cool and creative and inspiring, and if we scare off all young or beginner artists just because we older artists wish for an easier learning experience, I don't think we did a good thing. Picasso is famous for having an abstract cubism style, but guess what? He didn't start out that way. He was able to draw realistic painterly portraits at the age of 16, a protege of a young artist. He learned the classical way till it was in his blood. And he didn't like it. He rebelled against it, and it took him a lifetime journey to find himself. At least that is the law of his explanation. If anime makes you happy, draw anime. If furries make you happy, draw them. Don't lock yourself into a corner of what is right if you don't enjoy it one bit. In my opinion, you should seek out some learning. Reward yourself with each practice of boring fundamentals in art with some art doodles that are just fun to do. It's vital to enjoy your time, enjoy learning, and keep in mind that you are never late or done with learning anyway. I know so many people who got overwhelmed with how much they have to learn realism to get anywhere in art that they never picked up a pencil again, and that is sad to me. But don't be scared. Just because you are a beginner artist or you aren't happy with your skills yet doesn't mean you never will be, or that you have to force yourself into some way or form. Fundamentals are there to help you. Learning them properly helps and you achieve mastery faster. But art is not a game that you can speedrun. I mean, you can, but literally, why would you do that? You have your entire life to get to the art style you want and the skill level you want. It took me about 10 years of sporadically drawing and painting. Sure, I could have gotten to this level or better faster, but I am not sure if I would have liked it. Because if you treat your art like a 9-to-5 job to learn and do on the daily, you can also expect to hate it as much as most people hate their work days. So don't run your creativity dry by mastering art in 3 years. It's not worth it.
Part 5. Conclusion. My advice to you.
So here are some general things I would do. Take turns learning art fundamentals and drawing in your style. You have to find your own rhythm for that. But if you draw every day, try to do 1-to-1. One piece for learning, one for your own style and happiness. If you draw just once a week, make sure you have a set time as a realism or fundamentals warm-up. 20 minutes drawing some anatomy from photo reference, for example, and then the rest of your time to doodle. You can have 2 folders, one for learning and one for fun. Learn what is the style you are going for, but don't use other art as your reference. It should be your goal to make your own art worlds. Even artists that you think have made it and are on a professional level still do studies and brush up their fundamentals and have things they want and need to learn. Take their words of wisdom with a grain of salt. They regret having lost so much time that they didn't use fundamentals correctly, but they are looking at it with grim nostalgia goggles. They assume that they always had the same drive and would have found the love for art no matter how much work it is. But too much work and no play doesn't go well with any skill. If you don't enjoy the journey, you will go home. Your happiness with your art is important. More important than pleasing some art rule writers. Don't just master realism before you are allowed to do anything else. Master realism because you like it, or use realism as a teacher when something looks off. Okay, I think I've been rambling for long enough. That was all of my thoughts, and thank you for listening. It means the world to me. You deserve hugs and kisses. Or, if you prefer, your private space. Okay, thanks, bye!